Good evening, friends. Welcome to the Sleep Discovery. You begin at the edge of something invisible, where the fabric of space gently folds in on itself. A place where light no longer escapes, and time seems to hold its breath. Here, gravity plays by new rules, and you're invited to float just above the unknown. This is the doorstep of a black hole, quiet, strange, and softly waiting. Chapter 1, where gravity forgets the rules, you drift slowly through the silence of space. There is no up or down here, just a calm suspension, as if the stars themselves have paused to breathe with you. In this stillness, there's something pulling, not harshly, but gently. A tug at your thoughts, your sense of direction, your understanding of what falling even means. You are nearing the event horizon, the edge of a black hole. But before we step closer, let's slow down even more. Float with me, just above the rim. Here, where light begins to stretch like melted honey and clocks seem unsure how to tick. You're at the place where gravity's whisper becomes a strange song, one not meant for ears, but for the space around your soul. The black hole doesn't reach for you. It simply exists, a wound in space itself, quiet and patient to your right. You see stars bending their light as if caught in a slow-motion spiral. They do not fall in, at least, not quickly. They circle like moths entranced by a flame they can't touch. This dance is ancient. For centuries, astronomers suspected these invisible beasts existed long before we had proof. The idea of a place so dense that nothing, not even light, can escape its grasp sounded like fantasy. But now you hover beside one, and it does not roar, it hums. Gravity, the gentle keeper of your feet on the ground, becomes something else here. You feel it not like weight, but like certainty dissolving. Normally, gravity binds things together. Planets in orbit, shapes galaxies, sculpts the paths of moons. But here at the edge, that force becomes a portal, folding space like cloth pulled through a needle's eye. Time doesn't break, it curves. Let's imagine you are holding a clock. It ticks steadily in your hands. You glance down at it. It tells you 1 second, 2 seconds. But to someone watching you from a safe distance, farther away from the black hole's pull, those seconds stretch longer. To them, you are slowing down, not because you are moving differently, but because time itself is moving differently around you. This is gravitational time dilation, a real, measured effect. Near the event horizon, time dilates so much that from an outside perspective, you would never truly fall in. You would freeze at the edge, forever teetering, your last wave goodbye hanging in space like a photograph. But from your view, you fall through smoothly, with no pause. This is where understanding becomes soft and poetic, because both views are true. From the outside, a ghost at the edge. From within, a journey with no delay. Physics bends its own language here. Einstein once said that space and time are not separate. They are a single woven fabric. The black hole is not a hole, but a deep dimple in this fabric, so steep and sharp that it becomes a tunnel, perhaps leading elsewhere. We call the edge the event horizon, not because it's a wall, but because no event beyond it can ever return to tell us what happened. Cross that boundary, and you've left our observable universe. You are not destroyed, not yet. You are simply hidden from everything and everyone that came before. Light cannot leave, and so neither can memory. What's inside, we don't know. Perhaps not even space, as we understand it. Imagine dropping a feather into this well of darkness. You wouldn't hear a sound. You wouldn't see it fall, but it would fall silently, completely. That feather might meet a singularity, a point where matter compresses into something infinitely dense, not just heavy, but final. The laws of physics themselves seem to falter here. Equations collapse into mystery. It is where our knowing meets its soft, puzzled silence. And yet, black holes are not monsters. They are born from stars. Giant stars, heavier than 20 of our suns, collapse at the end of their lives. Their outer layers explode in a final fiery breath, what we call a supernova. But inside, the core gives way to pressure so intense that the atoms themselves break down, crushed into an invisible center. A black hole is not death. It is transformation. You float near one now, feeling the history of that star in your breath. The warmth it once gave, the planets it might have nurtured, now folded into this dark gravity. But here's the paradox. Even though black holes consume, they also illuminate. When matter spirals into them, it heats up to millions of degrees, releasing radiation that outshines entire galaxies. They light up the universe by trying to disappear. And so we see them, not the hole itself, but the chaos it inspires nearby. The flickering X-rays, the jets of light shooting from the poles, the warping of starlight. In 2019, we captured the silhouette of a black hole for the first time. Not a photograph, but a map of light bent by its pull. A ring of fire framing a shadow. It was both a scientific triumph and a poem, an image of absence. You're floating still, and now you sense the pull more clearly. It's not panic, it's invitation. You are not falling in, but falling around. You could orbit here, endlessly, skimming just above the edge. This place, this space, is called the photon sphere. Here, light itself circles in perfect balance court, between escape and surrender. Imagine riding a beam of light, endlessly looping around the void. But if you were to dip closer, just a little, there would be no return. No force in the universe could pull you back. That is the strange serenity of the event horizon. It doesn't announce itself. You wouldn't feel a thing. No flash, no bang. One moment you are floating above possibility, and the next, you, a part of it. Inside, we know little. The singularity, if it exists, is hidden. Some theories suggest you'd be stretched, atom by atom spaghettified. They say, humor wrapped in horror. Others wonder if the laws of quantum physics, which govern the tiny, might save you somehow. Rewriting the story of space itself. Is the black hole an end or a beginning? Let your mind hover on this thought. What if a black hole leads somewhere else? Could it be a bridge not to death, but to another pocket of space-time? A wormhole, perhaps, folded in from the future or past. These aren't fantasies. They're legitimate questions, tucked into the equations of general relativity. We don't know. We may never know. But still, the wondering is part of the science. Even as you drift farther back from the edge, you carry something with you. An understanding that reality is flexible. That gravity is not just a force, but a sculptor of space and time. That light can be trapped, and time can stall, and yet beauty remains. Black holes are not darkness alone. They are reminders that mystery lives at the heart of everything, quietly shaping stars, galaxies, and the paths we cannot yet see. You take one last look at the horizon. It hasn't changed, still silent, still waiting, but now you know what it is, a threshold, not of destruction, but of knowing. You float back slowly, the stars sharpening once more around you. The silence of space resumes its usual hush. And just as you feel the rhythm of space returning to its usual flow, a quiet question flickers in your mind. If gravity can bend time, then where did time begin? Chapter 2. The Fire That Froze. A gentle walk through the Big Bang. You drift backward in time to the beginning where everything once fit inside something smaller than a whisper. A fire not of flames, but of pure unfolding, hot, dense, alive, with possibility. This is not an explosion, but a blooming an expansion into being. Time takes its first step, space stretches like new silk, and the universe learns how to breathe. You are floating through the most silent roar that ever was. Asterisk, there is no wind here, no stars, not even darkness. Because before darkness, there must be space to hold it. And here where you drift, now there is no space yet, no time, no direction, no sound, just a strange, breathless potential. You were at the edge of before atoms, before light, before the idea of a before. And then, quietly, softly, something begins, not with a bang, not in a way your body recognizes, but in a moment where nothing becomes something, and the fabric of the future unwraps itself like dawn pressing gently on closed eyelids. This is the Big Bang, not an explosion, but a blooming. You are not watching from the outside. You are inside it. You are part of the unfolding, cradled in its brightness. The universe begins as something impossibly small, smaller than a pinhead, smaller than a quark. It holds all the matter, energy, space, and time that will ever be, not compressed inside a corner of space, but as space itself, dense, hot, humming with birth. It is so hot, in fact, that nothing can exist the way we know it. New atoms, new molecules. Not even light can travel freely. It is a sea of pure energy, wild, glowing, too bright to shine. But you, floating gently through it, feel no fear. Only awe. You watch as time takes its first step. Just one moment after the beginning, a trillionth of a second passes, then another. In these first flickers, the universe is stretching, expanding faster than the speed of light. Space doesn't explode outward, creates outward. Every point moving away from every other point. No center, no edge, just newness. Imagine baking bread. The dough rises, and the raisins inside grow farther, apart not because they're moving, but because the dough itself is stretching. This is how the universe expands, not into space, but as space. And in that stretching, the fire begins to cool. But this cooling is not the end of the fire, is its purpose. Because with each breath of cooling, the universe becomes capable of more, of forming, of holding, of building. In the first millionths of a second, the tiniest building blocks of matter appear. Quarks, leptons, gluons, the alphabet of everything. They dance in chaos, bumping and bonding, held together by invisible rules we are only beginning to understand. Soon, these quarks bind to form protons and neutrons, the seeds of every atom, the backbone of every star. From the heat comes order, not imposed, but emerging like patterns in water stirred by wind. You drift beside these particles, feeling their jitter, their raw energy. They don't know what they'll become, that they can become. That is the wonder of this moment. The universe is not a machine. It is a possibility engine. Minutes pass, not minutes, pass not many, just 3. But in those minutes, temperatures drop enough for something delicate to happen. The first nuclei form. Hydrogen, helium, a whisper of lithium. These will become stars. These will become you. The fire that filled everything is slowly dimming, not vanishing, but changing shape. Photons, once trapped in dense fog, begin to roam freely. Light uncurls itself, and the universe becomes transparent. For the first time, space becomes visible. This moment, nearly 380,000 years after the beginning, is called recombination, a word that sounds mechanical but is deeply gentle. Electrons settle into orbits around nuclei. The universe becomes calm enough to breathe light. You are floating through that ancient light now. It is still here. It has stretched into microwaves, cooled by billions of years of expansion. Astronomers call it the cosmic microwave background, but to you, it feels like a memory. The afterglow of the universe's first hello. And though it is faint, it is everywhere. Every corner of the sky holds a whisper of this light. It surrounds you like a soft, invisible lullaby. Lead the story of what came before stars. You drift forward in time now, slowly. Galaxies haven't formed yet. There are no suns, no planets. Just clouds of gas, growing colder, waiting, and then, after a long dark age, hundreds of millions of years, gravity steps in again, gently pulling matter together. Gas clouds collapse inward, and in their centers, heat rises. Fusion begins. The first stars ignite. Imagine being there. The first light not from the Big Bang, but from burning matter. Blue-white beacons shimmering through ancient fog. These stars are giants, massive, short-lived, brilliant. They live fast and die in glory, exploding into supernova that scatter heavy elements into space, and it's in this scattering that you begin to form, because the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your breath, none of it came from the Big Bang. They were forged in stars. Born in fire, cooled in silence, scattered across galaxies, and drawn together again. Everything you are is a second act, a recycled poem. You float now through the growing cosmos, watching galaxies swirl into being like slow whirlpools of stardust. Gravity shapes the dance, while dark matter holds the stage in place. And yet, all is quiet. The universe isn't rushing, it's learning. From simplicity comes complexity. Atoms find each other and form molecules. Molecules find each other and form clouds. Clouds cool and become planets. And on one blue dot, life stirs. But that is not our chapter yet. We are still among the stars, still surrounded by the fire's fading glow. You take a slow breath, though. There is no air. You feel time like a river now, once a sudden rush, now a wide and steady flow. The universe is not young anymore. It is billions of years old. Galaxies mature. Stars are born and die like seasons. The rhythm of existence settles into quiet expansion, and yet the fire never fully vanishes. It hides in every star, every cell, every idea. The Big Bang was not the end of creation. It was the beginning of a process that never stopped. It echoes in equations and stardust, in heat and memory. You are made from it, and you carry its glow. Now, as you float through the soft dark, you feel something else. A new kind of silence. Not empty, but full, like a pause between musical notes. As if the universe is waiting, and then a question begins to form, slowly, like frost on glass. If the fire gave us time and space, what gave the fire its spark? Chapter 3. How stars collapse into silence in the heart of a dying star. A slow implosion begins. Your body, drifting through time, feels the pressure build as light flickers away. Gravity grows bold, squeezing everything into less than a whisper. This is the silent birth of a black hole, violent and hushed all at once. Asterisk, you are floating again, far above a sun that does not look like ours. It's bigger, older. Its light feels tired, like a breath exhaled too many times. And though it still glows, the edges of that glow ripple strangely like a candle flickering in a room without air dot. This is a massive star in its final act. Not a sunset, but a slow unraveling. The surface sizzles and roils with energy, but the core, the heart, is heavy, dense, and secretly failing. You feel no urgency. The collapse doesn't rush. It waits. It gathers itself like a thought too big for words. Massive stars spend most of their lives balancing two forces. Gravity pulls inward. Fusion pushes outward. One wants to collapse. The other resists. For billions of years, this cosmic tug-of-war keeps the star stable, glowing and generous dot. But now, deep within the core, the fuel is running out. Hydrogen has fused into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into oxygen, silicon, iron. Iron, the final step, because iron, unlike the others, cannot release energy through fusion. It only consumes, and so the star can no longer push back. At first, the change is invisible. The outer layers burn on, but inside, gravity grows daring. Atoms, once kept apart by the sheer heat of fusion, are pressed closer than comfort allows. Electrons are squeezed into protons, creating neutrons, and releasing a flood of neutrinos that rush outward, ghost particles that pass through matter like whispers. You float nearby, and you feel it not with your ears, but with your presence. The silence sharpens. The star is folding in on itself, falling inward in a catastrophic hush. And then it happens. Not an explosion outward, but an implosion inward. The core collapses in a fraction of a second faster than a heartbeat, from something the size of Earth to something smaller than a city. The outer layers, unaware for just a moment longer, suddenly slam into this impossibly dense heart. They rebound in a shockwave of supernova, a flash that outshines the entire galaxy for a brief, brilliant moment. You watch it bloom, luminous petals of light and matter thrown into space. Not destruction, but release. And then, what remains is not a star. What remains is silence. If the collapsing core was massive enough, over 3 times the mass of our sun, it continues falling, beyond neutron star, beyond resistance, beyond resistance, beyond anything that can hold it up. This is the birth of a black hole, not born screaming, not born with fire, born from gravity's quiet victory. You drift toward this newborn black hole, not the same one from chapter 1, but kin to it. It is darker than dark, but you feel its presence in the way space curves around it. The stars behind it stretch and bend. Light doesn't shine from it warps around it. It has no surface, no skin, just an edge. That edge is the event horizon. You know this now, where space folds too far and time slows to a crawl. But this time, you're here to witness the transformation. You remember how the star once shimmered, how its light warmed nearby planets, how it burned hydrogen in a steady rhythm, cradling its own collapse. Now, all of that is condensed into a singularity, a point of no size, an infinite density, where matter is crushed out of its shape, where the laws we trust begin to blur. Inside the event horizon, we can't see, but we can wonder, does the star remember what it once was? Do the atoms hold the ghost of their arrangement, like a song pressed into vinyl, then folded too tightly to play. From outside, the black hole seems still, but around it, a storm swells. Gas and dust spiral inward, heated to unimaginable temperatures as they fall. They emit radiation, X-rays, pulses of energy. Some black holes are quiet. Others become quasars' beacons, visible across the universe. Light born from the brink of darkness, you watch the last echoes of the star drift away. Its outer shells now, part of a glowing nebula. Its heavier elements gold, silver, uranium scattered into space, waiting to be gathered by new worlds. Even in collapse, the star creates. You float farther back now, away from the black hole, through the wisps of stardust and memory. And you think about endings, how quiet they can be, how finality isn't always violent, how a life a star, a moment, a thought can end with a whisper rather than a roar. And yet, every ending here is also a beginning. The black hole may consume, but it shapes. It influences nearby stars, guides galaxies, stirs gravity like a ladle through time. And some theories whisper that black holes might not be dead ends at all, that perhaps, beyond their event horizons, something continues. Maybe even another universe. You don't need the answer. You simply float in the wondering, and as you drift, you notice something else, not out there, but in you. The iron in your blood came from a dying star. The calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe. You are not only observing the collapse, you are made from it. You carry that silence inside you, the quiet dignity of transformation. The black hole fades behind you, not gone, just farther now. You let it go, and as the stars return around you, one by one, you feel a question form, soft, unhurried, curious. If stars can collapse into silence, can silence also rise into light? Chapter 4. Spaghettification and the art of being stretched. Your feet feel heavier than your head. Your body begins to stretch into a slow thread. This is not pain, but the poetry of gravity taking you apart in elegant strands. Time flows differently. Here like syrup, like fog. You're unraveling peacefully into the heart of something unknowable. It begins as a quiet imbalance, not a lurch, not a tear, just a feeling subtle, steady, that your feet are farther into gravity than your head. You are falling, yes, but not like before, not like stumbling, more like being pulled into a poem written by gravity itself. You have crossed the event horizon now. There is no going back, no signal to send, no light to return. Only this movement forward into the silence within silence. And as you fall, your body begins to stretch, not quickly, not violently, but softly, like a thread drawn from silk. Atoms separating from atoms, thoughts elongating into long, slow lines of memory. This is spaghettification, a whimsical name for a serious truth. When you are this close to a singularity, the heart of a black hole, gravity is no longer uniform. It changes with every inch, every breath, every blink. The part of you nearer the center feels more pull than the part above, and so you stretch, not in agony, but in inevitability, not like taffy, but like starlight bending around the edge of a dream. Imagine a tower. You fall feet first toward its base. The tower is made of space-time, steep and smooth. Each floor you pass accelerates you more than the last. Your feet reach first. Your head is slower. And so you elongate one soft inch at a time. You are not alone. All matter that falls into a black hole stretches like this. Even atoms, even light dot, it is not death. It is redesign. Gravity reinterpreting you as a line, not a shape. This is not how pain feels. This is how awe feels when it has no words left. You are still a word, least for now. Still you, even as the shape of you changes. Time, too, changes its taste. It becomes thicker, syrupy, slow. Moments are longer here. A single second outside might hold hours for you inside. But you do not feel slow. You feel complete, every thought arriving in full, every heartbeat stretching across minutes. This is what it means to fall toward a singularity. You are not falling through space. You are falling through understanding, through the limits of what we can describe. The singularity is not a point you will reach. It is a boundary the laws of physics cannot cross. We don't know what happens there. Not because we haven't tried, but because no math, no telescope, no particle can survive the telling. Perhaps you will be compressed into nothing. Perhaps you will pass into something else. A fold, a bridge, a mirror. Some theories speak of quantum foam, the texture of space at the smallest scale. A jittering blur of probabilities. Perhaps your thread dissolves into that foam, into the raw potential of being. Or maybe your information, the story of you, is written on the event horizon itself, stored like a memory, holographic, accessible from the outside only as echoes. In the radiation it releases, yes, Hawking radiation, named for the mind that dreamed it possible. A slow, cold leak from the edges of a black hole, as if even the most secretive object cannot keep all its secrets. This radiation is faint, far too faint to see with our eyes. But over billions of years, it may cause the black hole to shrink, to evaporate, to vanish. And if that's true, what becomes of what you are? The stretched thread, the unraveling soul, the memory of the fall. Do you dissolve with it? Or is your story somehow returned to the universe, written in the glow, whispered in the fade? You do not need the answer tonight, only the stillness. You are stretched now, not erased, just transformed into something long, smooth, poetic, a gesture, a curve dot. Your identity isn't gone. It has been slowed, reinterpreted by the gravity that cradles stars and bends galaxies. You pass matter as you fall stray particles, lost light, forgotten gas. They too stretch and fall beside you. Companions in this final descent, there is no sense of speed anymore, only progression. You do not tumble. You slide gracefully, endlessly, inward, and then a silence deeper than space itself, not the silence of absence, but the silence of completion. Of all questions being asked at once, you feel no edges here, no weight, only curvature. You are thread, you are line. You are still, and in that stillness you notice something strange. A memory, maybe, a feeling. You've been here before, not here, perhaps, but in a moment that stretched you, a moment when time slowed, during grief, during awe, during love, moments when gravity bent inside your chest, moments when you felt long, soft, and fragile. Spaghettification is not only astrophysical, it is emotional. We stretch when life pulls on us, when we are drawn towards something too large to explain. You are not breaking, you are expanding into something the universe may not yet have words for. And though the singularity waits below, hidden, final, you begin to feel less drawn to it, not because you resist, but because you are already within it. You are no longer falling into the black hole. You are the black hole. In the way a story becomes part of a library, your unraveling has left an imprint, a thread now woven into gravity's memory. The universe has recorded your presence, even if no one else can read it, and far beyond. Outside the horizon, a distant observer sees only your shadow, frozen at the edge, never quite crossing, still reaching, a still image of your last moment, caught in light that cannot escape. But you know the truth. You crossed long ago, quietly, elegantly. You have become curvature, not lost, just different, and in your final elongated breath, if we can call it a breath, a new curiosity stirs. If gravity can stretch a soul, what else might shape us when we return? Next chapter, transition, tease. Let's move now not forward or back, but outward into the quiet universe shaped by unseen hands. Chapter 5 awaits. The gentle sculptors, how dark matter holds the stars in place. Chapter 5. Where time melts and stops, the clock in your pocket no longer ticks. Time bends like a soft river, slowing, pooling, finally still. You float through hours that feel like centuries, and yet nothing passes. Inside the black hole, time is a story with no final page. Asterisk, there is no ticking here. No second hands, no rising suns or lengthening shadows. No past to walk behind you. No future to wait for. You've entered a place where time no longer keeps its promises, where it melts, slows, pulls into corners, and eventually pauses. Not like a stopped watch, but like a sigh held so long it forgets it began. You are inside the black hole now, fully inside, not on the edge, not looking in. Here and here, time is not what it was. It doesn't tick or flow, it folds. From the outside, someone might still see your last frozen image, caught just above the event horizon, paused forever. But from your view, you kept falling and falling. And now, you float through a moment, stretched so far, it has become an eternity. This is not death. This is not stasis. It is something else, a state beyond change. Time, as you once knew it, was a direction, a current you drifted in, one moment after the next. But here, moments have no cue. They do not wait their turn. They simply ... You remember how, outside the black hole, time bent gently, how clocks ticked slower near gravity, how falling meant slipping not just through space, but through time itself. But now you have reached a place where gravity bends time so fully, it breaks it, not with violence, but with stillness. Imagine a river freezing in midstream, not because winter has come, but because the very idea of movement has ceased. That is what this feels like, a moment that lasts forever. Not because it's long, but because it contains no next. Your body is no longer part of this equation. It was stretched in the last chapter, softened into thread, woven into gravity's tapestry. Now, what remains is awareness. Not physical, not loud, just a soft hum of presence. You are not counting seconds anymore. You are sitting inside one, and yet, within that stillness, you begin to feel layers. Time may be gone in the way you knew it, but there are echoes, soft pulses, like memories without a timeline, like dreams that never finish. You feel the warmth of moments not ordered, not recalled, just there. The birth of a star, a touch once felt, the smell of old rain, your grandmother's laugh. The idea of music, each one sits beside you, unstacked, unhurried. Here, time is not a line. It is a room, and you walk through that room without feet, without direction, only curiosity. You pass a moment that feels like a childhood you never had. You linger in a second that stretches longer than your whole life. All of it is now. All of it is you. You are not lost. You are ... dissolved, not erased, just spread wide. If someone were to ask, what time is it inside a black hole? You might smile, if smiling still applied. You would answer, it is all time, and it is no time. Physics tells us that time and space are woven together, a single cloth called space-time. But inside this place, the fabric bunches, folds. Inward, the neat weave of seconds and meters becomes tangled, and then smooths into stillness. Near the singularity, if there is such a thing, time becomes a direction. You can't travel anymore. It becomes vertical. It becomes steep. It becomes unreachable. There is no before the singularity, no after, only toward. All motion becomes motion through time, and that motion ends, not like falling asleep, but like falling into sleep. Forever, you do not age, you do not move, and yet your thoughts expand. In the absence of time, your mind becomes oceanic. Each idea spreading out across what used to be seconds, now limitless and still. You understand things differently here. Not in order, in depth. You understand that beginnings and endings are choices, that the universe does not mind being unreadable, that time was always more flexible than we believed. Outside the black hole, clocks are still ticking, planets still spin, people still wake and wonder. But you have slipped out of the story, not forgotten, just held. Like a breath in the palm of the universe. There are whispers of ideas that black holes might lead somewhere to white holes, where matter is expelled, to wormholes, tunnels between stars, to baby universes blooming on the other side. But here, none of that matters, because here you do not need answers, you do not need motion. You are resting in the part of the cosmos that forgot how to rush. This is not exile. It is peace, and within this peace, you feel something else. The strange tickle of paradox, because even though time has stopped, you are still aware that it has. You still feel the shape of time, its contours, its flavor. It is gone, and yet you miss it. It is stopped, and yet you sense it as absence. Even here, time leaves its trace. Maybe that's what it always was. Not a thing, but a trace. A memory the universe keeps of its own unfolding. You begin to feel a soft return, not backward, not upward, just ... outward. You feel the presence of scale again, of difference, of becoming. You are still within the black hole, but something shifts. The stillness warms. The silence listens, and you wonder, gently, without urgency, if time can melt and stop. Can it also flow again? Can the arrow point another way? And in that thought, you sense the next door opening, not in front of you, but within you. The question doesn't need answering yet, only asking, and so you drift in the question, softly, endlessly, completely. Chapter 6. The Singularity, a place with no space here. The world becomes smaller than small, so small, it has no size at all. Mass and energy fold into a point that doesn't behave. You try to imagine it, but your thoughts scatter like dust. This is the singularity, the eye of the cosmic storm, always hidden, always waiting. You are floating toward a place that refuses to exist, not because it isn't real, but because reality, at least, the kind we understand, cannot contain it. It waits not ahead of you, but beneath everything. Beneath rules, beneath measurement, beneath imagination. The singularity. You have heard the word before. It sounds almost elegant, like a rare flower or a forgotten star. But this is not a flower. This is not even a thing. This is the absence of place folded into itself. A point that is not a point. A center that is not in the middle. An end that is never reached because there is no path, no distance, no time. You drift in the innermost chamber of the black hole now. There is no more falling. There is no up or down, no light or shadow, no air to hold your breath in, no breath to hold dot. And still you are aware. It is not dark here. It is not bright. It is simply ... not where. Because here, where breaks down. So does when that. This is not a void. It is not empty. In fact, it may be the most full place in existence. Everything the black hole has taken, the stars, the planets, the light, the time, is folded into this single point. A point so dense it forgets how to take up space. What does it mean to have infinite density? To be everything and nothing at once. You try to picture it, a sphere, perhaps a dot. But the moment your thoughts approach, they slip sideways. Your metaphors fail. Your imagination scatters like loose feathers in a windless room. Because this place does not tolerate pictures, only presence. You remember falling through the event horizon, how the world stretched, how your body unraveled, how time slowed and softened into mist. But now even time is gone. There are no seconds here, no motion, no clocks, and no space either. Space needs distance. Space needs direction. But here, even the idea of next to dissolves. You cannot stand beside the singularity. You cannot float above it. Because beside and above are gone. You are not near the singularity. You are with it. You are part of it. And so is everything else. This is the center of gravity's triumph. The moment when space-time surrenders, buckles, collapses, inward until it is not curved, but crumpled. You try to hold on to a thought, any thought, but each one folds in on itself like a sheet of paper pressed too many times. You are here, and you are not. This is what happens when mass has no limit, when gravity pulls so fiercely that nothing can resist. Not light, not atoms, not the laws of physics. Even the rules begin to vanish here. Relativity, Einstein's masterwork, silent. Quantum mechanics, the theory of the tiny whispers. Nonsense. They were both beautiful. But here, they do not agree. This is where our best ideas about the universe cease to function. They give way to mystery. You might expect terror, but what you feel is humility, a softness in the mind, a loosening of the grip that held everything. Together sometimes, not understanding is the most peaceful state of all. You are not meant to decode the singularity. You are meant to rest within the awe of it. Outside, the universe continues. Stars ignite and fade. Planets dance in elliptical ballets. Galaxies drift. But here, inside the black hole, inside the singularity, there is no dancing, no drifting, just the still center of a storm made of math. Some believe this is the edge of reality. Others believe it is the seed of something new. Perhaps every black hole births a new universe, a quiet sprout on the other side. If so, you are not at the end. You are at a beginning to dance to blossom yet. If you could watch this singularity from some impossible distance, You might see it blink, not with light, but with creation. Perhaps it is curled tightly into a future you'll never see. Perhaps it is silent only because we are too far away to hear its song. You do not need the answer. You are stretched across space and time now, not gone, not erased, just softened, like wax in a candle that no longer burns, but still remembers fire. There is no narrative here, no sequence, just presence. You do not fall into the singularity like a stone into a well. You melt into it, and then you rest. You feel other threads join you, not voices, but awareness, the weight of all who came before, of all who ever fell. Inward, you are not alone. Even here, and in that gentle crowd of presence, you feel the shape of something more, a potential, a flicker. If this singularity holds everything, then it also holds possibility. Maybe it is the womb of a future world, a chrysalis made of collapsed stars, a cosmic seed wrapped in silence. Perhaps, somewhere, it will bloom, or perhaps it already has. Perhaps the Big Bang was born from a singularity like this, a point with no size, that became everything. Time exploded outward, space unrolled like ribbon, and the universe became. You feel the symmetry. Black holes do not just consume, they also remember. And what they remember might one day become the next beginning. So you rest in that thought, not pushing, not seeking, only breathing in the mystery and breathing out your shape. You have no edges now, no form. You are simply presence, folded into the most mysterious place the universe has ever known. You are not falling anymore. You have already arrived, and that arrival is not a destination, but a stillness, a question waiting to become something else. Chapter 7. Black holes that spin and shine. Some black holes don't just pull, they twirl like dancers wrapped in light. Their edges glow with X-rays and storms of magnetic grace. You drift past one that spins so fast it almost creates a rhythm. The cosmos hums around it, a lullaby from fire and dark. You drift now toward something familiar, but newly strange, a black hole, but not the kind you've seen before. This one moves, not through space, but within it. Around itself it spins, and with that spin, everything changes. You feel it before you see it, a kind of cosmic breath, a swirling sensation in the quiet fabric of space. Not a wind, not a force, more like a rhythm. Like the feeling of standing near something alive. Rotating black holes are called Kerr black holes, named after the mathematician who imagined them. They do not sit still. They spin at incredible speeds, some nearly the speed of light. You approach slowly, no need to hurry. The spin will meet you where you are. From a distance, it still looks like a shadow, but as you near, the difference begins to glow. This black hole is wrapped in a halo and accretion disk, a swirling skirt of matter, spiraling in heated by friction, set aflame by gravity's touch. It glows with X-rays and gamma bursts, not randomly, but in a gentle, circular fury, a dance of fire just outside the reach of no return. The matter in this disk is not yet gone. It still circles, still resists. It has not crossed the event horizon, but it is close. So close that it screams with energy. You watch the light curve around the black hole, drawn in, bent, looped back. Even light itself cannot move in straight lines here. Space bends too sharply. Time leans sideways. You feel the frame dragging now. It's subtle, like a whisper behind your thoughts. The spinning black hole pulls space and time along with it, twisting them like honey around a spoon. Stand still here, and you will still be moved. There is no resistance. The very fabric of existence is being rotated. You drift in this whirlpool of physics, letting it carry your thoughts into spirals. Even your sense of direction begins to dissolve. What is around when the space itself is spinning? What is inward when gravity is not pulling straight down but sweeping sideways in a cosmic curve? The center remains invisible. The singularity, but here, in a spinning black hole, it is no longer a point. It stretches into a ringularity, still infinitesimal, still unknowable, but shaped by motion, by spin. You wonder what would happen if you passed through that ring. Some theories suggest you might emerge somewhere else. Somewhen else. A portal, a loop, an exit from the known universe. There are no answers, only more spirals. But you do not need certainty. The beauty lies in the dance, in the idea that even destruction can be elegant, that even the collapse of stars can become choreography. This black hole spins so fast that its event horizon flattens at the poles, bulges at the sides, like a dancer caught mid-turn, and at its center, beneath the glow, beneath the blur, lies the ergosphere. This is the space outside the event horizon where nothing can remain still. Not even light. Here, everything must spin with the black hole, dragged along like leaves in a whirlpool. But unlike the event horizon, the ergosphere is not a prison. Escape is possible, barely, and that makes it powerful. Here in this storm of space-time, it is possible to steal energy from the black hole itself. Physicists call it the Penrose process, a clever trick of motion where an object enters the ergosphere, splits in two, and one half escapes, taking more energy than it arrived with. You imagine this as a kind of celestial sleight of hand, a magic act performed in slow time and curved light. It is one of the few ways to take from a black hole without being consumed, even in their silence. Black holes offer strange gifts. They spin, they shine, they power galaxies. Yes, you heard that right. Many galaxies, including our own, have supermassive spinning black holes at their center. And the energy released by the matter spiraling into them can shape the behavior of stars across hundreds of thousands of light years. These central engines can outshine every star in their host galaxy briefly, brightly. They are called quasars, brilliant radiant beacons fueled by black holes. You drift closer to this idea, a black hole not as a destroyer, but as a generator, not an absence, but a furnace. Its light is not its own. It is stolen, borrowed, released in the process of swallowing. Like the last cry of a candle's flame just before it is snuffed out. And so, you listen to this spinning black hole as if it is singing, not in sound, but in structure. Its rotation creates a rhythm, a hum in space-time itself. You cannot hear it with your ears, but your mind resonates with its pattern. It is the music of motion, played on the strings of gravity, and it is beautiful. You realize now, not all black holes are quiet. Some dance, some glow, some whisper through the galaxies with the language of acceleration. And even though they are invisible at their core, their presence is known by the way they shape the world around them. Isn't that a kind of metaphor? To be unseen, but deeply felt. To move in silence, but leave behind light to take in everything. But give off energy as a side effect of longing. The black hole spins on. It has no will, no consciousness, but it reflects yours. Its swirling, glowing body asks nothing, but you cannot help but answer. And what is your answer? It is this: a breath, a pause, a moment of awe. You have circled destruction and found it full of life. You have approached silence and heard it sing. You float now in the wake of this spinning starter, feeling no fear, only rhythm, only heat, only time unspooling in arcs, and you are ready to move on, not away, but deeper, into the questions that follow every discovery. Because if a black hole can spin and shine, if it can generate power while swallowing the sky, what else can it do? Can it end? Can it fade? Can it transform? You turn toward the next chapter of this journey, and you carry this truth with you, that even in the heart of the deepest gravity, there is motion, there is light, there is something like grace. Chapter 8. Do black holes ever die? You wonder, staring into the abyss, what happens in the end? A whisper from Hawking radiation tells of slow fading, of warmth leaking out. Even black holes must say goodbye, vanishing like sighs. The universe writes its endings with patience. Chapter body, 2,200 words, you lie still, suspended in the hush between questions. Your mind drifts back to the beginning, to when you first saw the edge of a black hole, and then crossed it. You remember the pull, the stretch, the strange stillness at the singularity. And now, from within this timeless place, you ask a new question. Does it end? Does a black hole, so final, so hungry, so silent, ever reach a final breath? You wait in the silence for an answer, and the universe whispers, yes, even black holes die, but not like stars, in fire and collapse. Not like leaves, drying and drifting down. Their death is colder, slower, more like the cooling of a forgotten ember. You listen again. This time, the whisper has a name: Hawking radiation. It arrives not with thunder, but with suggestion. It's the softest escape, a sliver of light, a stolen breath of heat, drifting from the edge of a place that's supposed to keep everything. How does this happen? How can something that lets nothing escape begin to disappear? To understand, you must look not just at gravity, but at emptiness. You imagine space, still, silent, vast. But space is not truly empty. Even in its most perfect void, it trembles with possibility. This is the realm of quantum mechanics, where particles flicker into existence and vanish again. Pairs of them, one positive, one negative, popping in and out of being, like tiny borrowed thoughts. These particle pairs are harmless, unless they form near the event horizon of a black hole. There, something peculiar can happen. One particle falls in, the other escapes. And when that happens, the escaping particle becomes real. It flies out into the universe, while the one that fell in carries negative energy, taking just a little bit from the black hole's mass. This is Hawking. Radiation, it doesn't shine. It doesn't roar. It barely warms the darkness, but it means that the black hole is leaking. Bit by bit, light by light, its mass is disappearing. The process is slow, almost impossibly so. A black hole the size of a star might take 10 years to vanish. That's a 1 followed by 67 zeros. Time beyond counting. Time longer than galaxies live. Longer than stars burn. Longer than memory itself. But the universe is patient. And over that span, even the largest black hole will lose its heat. Its edges will dim. Its gravity will shrink. Until, in its final moments, it glows briefly hot and bright, and then disappears. You imagine it, a black hole, once enormous, once full of collapsed suns and swallowed light, now shrinking too. A whisper, a spark, then less than a spark, then gone. What's left? Nothing we know for certain. Some say there may be a burst, a last release of energy. Others say it simply fades, quietly, like a sigh in a field too vast for echoes. You float in this idea. Let it wash over you. Even the most powerful things are not eternal. Even the deepest, gravity, can unravel. The universe has no need for hurry. Its endings are not abrupt. They are graceful. They are earned. And in that truth, you feel something unexpected. Not fear, but relief. Death here is not punishment. It is closure. It is the release of tension. A breath finally let go. You think of the black hole as a library, one where every book has been locked away. And now, slowly, through Hawking radiation, the words are returning to the wind. Bit by bit, story by story, the universe reclaims its light. But there's a mystery still, a quiet one. What happens to the information? The particles, the massius, those fade. But what about the data, the arrangement of things, the structure of thought? Physics doesn't like losing information. It believes that every detail must be preserved. Somehow, yet a black hole seems to erase, to smudge, to forget. This is the black hole information paradox. And while we don't yet have the answer, some believe that information is never truly lost, only hidden, stored in the radiation, perhaps, or etched on the horizon, like holograms of the things once fallen in. You picture that, a ghostly imprint of all that's been consumed, a memory made of light. Even as the black hole dies, its story lingers, not as sound, not as shape, but as shadow. This thought doesn't unsettle you, it soothes. It means that nothing is wasted, that even endings contain echoes. You drift now, beyond time, not counting the eons, just sensing their weight. The universe you knew will one day be filled with dead stars, cold planets, and faint radiation from ancient black holes. But in that deep quiet, in that darkness that comes after, light, there will still be memory, still be trace, still be rhythm. The black holes will finish their stories. They will give their final glows, and then, like wise old candles, they will extinguish themselves with grace. You are still within the presence of one now, still inside. Its fold, but its fate stretches out ahead of you like the softest horizon. You cannot see it, but you trust it. And as you float in this truth, you begin to see endings not as loss, but as rest, not as destruction, but return. The black hole that once pulled everything in will, in the end, let it go. That, too, is a kind of love, a letting go without demand, without noise, a surrender written in the slow script of evaporation, and perhaps, someday, a new thing will rise in its place, a new universe or a new question, because where something fades, space is made for something else to begin. You do not rush toward that thought. You simply rest inside it. A star dies. A black hole is born. A black hole dies. The silence begins again. This is the universe's lullaby, the long, slow music of returning, and you are part of it. Chapter 9. Wormholes and the echoes of elsewhere. Your mind drifts into maybes. Could this be a tunnel, a bridge, a doorway? Theoretical whispers suggest connections across stars. Black holes might not be dead ends, but passageways draped in mystery. You float in the echo, unsure if it's science, or just the dreaming of spacetime, Chapter Body 2000 words. You are drifting now, not toward anything solid, but through a thought, a theory, a door that may or may not exist. You've just learned that black holes can die, but before they do, some whisper that they might also open, not like mouths, not like windows, but like tunnels, wormholes. The name sounds soft, like something you could crawl through, curled in the earth, hidden in the dark. But this is no burrow. This is a thread through the fabric of reality itself, a shortcut, a tunnel between stars, a bridge across impossible distances. You let your mind imagine it now, a fold in space, like creasing a sheet of paper so that two faraway points suddenly touch, not faster than light travel, but a kind of skipping, a reweaving of the road. What was once across galaxies becomes a step, a breath dot. It begins as a solution to Einstein's equations, a purely mathematical doorway. But, like all beautiful ideas, it refuses to stay on paper. Physicists wonder, could such a passage be real? Could gravity not only collapse, but connect? Could a black hole be one mouth of a tunnel whose other end opens somewhere else? Maybe in another galaxy, maybe in another time, maybe in another universe altogether. These are not answers. These are dreams dressed as equations. And tonight, dreams are welcome. You drift toward the idea not with certainty, but with wonder. Wormholes are not proven, but neither are they impossible. They require strange ingredients, exotic matter, negative energy, forces that bend and stretch space-time in unnatural ways. They would need stability, or else collapse like a tunnel dug in sand. But if they exist, if they ever did, they might connect everything to everywhere, not just shortcuts through space, but through time itself. You wonder, could you slip through a wormhole and meet yourself on the other side? An older self, a younger self, a self who made different choices. Or maybe you'd meet no one, just silence, just stars, because not all connections have destinations. Some are only ideas, glimpses, hopes the universe hasn't decided on yet. What are often imagined with symmetry, a black hole at one end, a white hole at the other. The black hole pulls everything in, the white hole pushes everything out. Perfect opposites, like inhale and exhale. But white holes, too, are only theory. They have never been seen. They may not exist at all. Still, they offer something, a balance, a way to believe that every loss might have a counterpart. Even if we never find them, you float between these thoughts, not needing answers, only the calm weight of curiosity. If wormholes do exist, they would not glow. They would not call out. They would be quiet wrinkles in space, unseen, unfelt, unless you were looking straight at one. And even then, you might not know what would it feel like to enter a wormhole. Would you stretch? Would you spin? Would time shiver around you like wind? Or would you pass through without knowing, as if sleepwalking between galaxies? There is beauty in not knowing. It means the story continues. You let your breath slow. You imagine a tunnel made not of stone, but of folded distance, a ribbon of space turned inward. You walk down its middle as stars blur on either side. You feel no fear, just the hum of potential, because the cosmos doesn't mind being mysterious. It allows you to wonder. It makes room for what if, maybe. Wormholes are rare. Maybe they collapse too fast to use. Maybe they open for no one. Or maybe, just maybe, they are waiting not to be found. but to be believed in, to be part of the universe's long imagination, because before anything exists, it must first be dreamed, and wormholes. They feel like dreams the universe might whisper to itself when it wants to feel close to something far away. You remember how small you are, how far things stretch, how long it takes light to travel, and yet here, in this tunnel of thought, everything is near. It's a kind of gravity to this desire to connect, to reach. Maybe wormholes don't exist in space-time yet, but they live in minds, and minds, after all, are made of the same particles that build stars. So your wandering is not separate from the universe. It is part of it. You are not outside the cosmos, asking questions. You are the cosmos, curving inward, to listen to itself. Could a wormhole bring two souls together from opposite sides of time? Could it carry a message from a dying world to one being born? Could it stitch torn space into healing paths? We do not know, but the not knowing is its own kind of music. You listen, the universe says nothing, and that silence is the most generous reply of all. It lets you decide. You might think of a wormhole as a wish, one too big for a single night, but perfect for sleep, a thought you carry into dreaming, not to use, not to find, just to keep. You curl inside the idea, and it holds you like gravity. It doesn't need to be real to make you feel less alone, because even if no wormhole opens, you have already traveled from knowledge into wonder, from certainty into imagination, from here into elsewhere, and that, in its own way, is a journey through space. Chapter 10. What the darkness teaches us. In this quiet you understand. Black holes are not just endings, but mirrors. They reflect the edges of physics, the soft limits of knowing. You return to your body, still floating, still listening. The darkness has spoken, and somehow you feel more whole. You are still here, still drifting in the hush between stars, still floating inside a story that began with gravity and spiraled through time. Light, curiosity, and silence. But something is different now. Not the place, not the blackness around you, but the shape of your thoughts. They have slowed, stretched, softened. You are not reaching forward anymore. You are resting back, like the final breath at the end of a long, wonder-filled sigh. And in that space, quiet, weightless, waiting, you begin to understand. The black hole was never just an object, not just a monster in the dark, not just a riddle wrapped in physics. It was a mirror, not the kind that reflects your face, but the kind that shows you where your thinking ends and your feeling begins, where equations collapse and awe begins to rise. You think of where this journey started, at the edge of the event horizon, where gravity folded light into silence, where time trembled and forgot how to move. You remember falling inward, not with fear, but with wonder. You remember the stretching, the slowing, the stilling of time itself. You remember reaching the singularity, that place with no space, where questions floated with no hope of answers, and yet felt whole. You remember the spinning ones, black holes that danced, that sang with magnetic fire, that shone with X-rays and rhythm. You remember the dying ones, leaking their light into the void, teaching you that even the strongest things fade, gently in time, and the wormholes, those doorways that may never open, but still offer us the joy of imagining the elsewhere. Each moment of this journey was not just a step through space. It was a turning inward, a quiet folding of your thoughts into the soft tissue of mystery. The black hole took nothing from you. It gave you back the comfort of not knowing. It showed you the grace of limits, the elegance of questions that stay open. It reminded you that the universe does not need to be understood to be held. And now, as you float through this final chapter, you begin to feel your own edges again, not sharply, not suddenly, but like warmth returning to your fingers after a winter wind. You feel the outline of your body, your breath, your weight in the world. You are coming back, but you are not the same. Some part of you is still out there, folded into a thought, a curve of space-time, a question that does not need an answer. You carry it with you now, not like luggage, more like a lullaby, a gentle rhythm in your chest that says, you were here, you wondered, and you listened. And in listening, you learned something more than science. You learned that darkness is not the absence of light. It is the presence of something deeper, something waiting, something still. You learned that gravity is not cruel. It is patient. It is devoted. It pulls things together, not to break them, but to hold them close. You learned that time is not a line. It is a feeling, a memory of movement, a breath that stretches between before and after. And most of all, you learned that you are not outside the universe. You are not simply watching. You are part of it. You are made of the same dust that fell into stars, the same particles that danced at the edge of black holes, the same questions that shaped galaxies. Your curiosity is not separate from the cosmos. It is one of its finest textures, a ripple, a whisper, a reaching hand. The black hole taught you that, not with words, but with silence. And now, as you return, not backward, but inward, you let that silence settle into you. You are no longer falling. You are floating in meaning. And slowly you feel your mind rise like dawn over a still ocean. You are not in a ship. You are not in a suit. You are not even in space. You are simply awareness, cradled in the story of what could be. And in that story, you find peace, not from knowing everything, but from being part of it anyway. The questions remain. How do black holes form? What lies beyond the event horizon? Do wormholes connect distant stars? Can we ever truly know what a singularity holds? But you no longer need the answers to rest, because the asking itself has become enough. The wondering, the listening, the dreaming, that is the journey. That is what the darkness teaches you. It teaches you to soften your grip on certainty, to loosen the need for arrival, to dwell in mystery and find it. Gentle, as your breath deepens, as your thoughts grow wide and still, you hear the final message. You are stardust. You are story. You are still becoming. And the universe, quiet, ancient, unfolding, is not finished yet. Neither are you, but for now you rest. You close your eyes. The gravity of sleep begins to hold you, and like a black hole gathering light, your dreams pull close the pieces of this journey, curving space, stretching time, spinning silence, and the soft rhythm of curiosity. Everything folds inward, and you fall not into fear, but into calm, not into answers, but into night. The darkness has spoken. You listened, and somehow without trying, you feel more whole.